Boa tarde. Nice that you watch again on my newest YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to talk about, it's a little bit different because this week I made a Facebook post about the real estate market in Portugal and what is really not working, that at the moment the buyers and the sellers are frustrated. They seem to not find each other and most of them it's already unrealistic high prices. And how do you evaluate? How do you know that you buy for the right price? And there's a lot of questions out there at the moment because let's face it, at the moment we have a lot of international attention in Portugal, also national, of course. We have from America, from Holland, from Germany, from England. In those countries, there has been a lot changing politically, financially, tax-wise, and they are moving. They're thinking about moving. They're thinking about moving their capital. They're thinking about moving their life to immigrate, and those nationalities all come together, and they all have a different understanding of the market in Portugal. So stay tuned. In this video I will explain a little bit more about how the real estate market works in Portugal. Now a little bit about myself. I'm Petronella Enneking. I live 25 years already in Portugal, live and work. I have my real estate license since 2007 and I work now as a strategic advisor in the Portuguese real estate. So I want to clarify something because my phone, my social media, everything blew up this week because I made a post which came straight from me, from the way I see the Portuguese real estate and the way how I do business and what I think where the real estate business in Portugal is going to. I just listened to a podcast which I recorded 1 year ago. And there I mentioned it already that the traditional real estate brokerage is not working anymore in the way it always have been. And what I saw 1 year ago, I see now the effects from those signs, what I saw a year ago. And that is that as a foreigner, you have to understand what does it mean, a broker. A broker in Portugal basically means that they get a license. Everybody can have a brokerage license in Portugal. It's not that you have to study a big book. You have to do a simple exam. And each year to update your real estate license. Back in the days when I got my license in 2007, you really had to study a thick Portuguese book like this. And all the questions were as well in Portuguese. The book was in Portuguese. So it was really for me then as well a struggle because it had the Portuguese language. Nowadays, it is not necessary anymore. And the thing is, a broker here, they have to fulfill some aspect, and that is mainly on a business point of view that you have to get your insurance right and your documentation right, and that you have an organized accountancy. That are basically the thing, and then you just can hit off as a broker. So over the years, of course, everybody was thinking, let's make quick money, let's go into the brokerage, because the commissions here in Portugal, they are between the 5 and the 8%, and they've always been paid by the seller. And I've talked already about it in the other video, but I think it's good that you as a foreigner start to understand that a broker can never work independently for you. I have been a broker. It's not an attack on the brokerage because I still also have my license. I work with brokers together. I did this week a deal with a broker, but I get paid by the buyer because the buyer wants to save time. They can save time with me. They want to buy safe and they want to buy it informed. And then the broker, they get paid by the vendor. So in this case, it's not for me an attack on the brokers. No, it's just informing the foreign buyers how the brokerage work in Portugal and how you can, of course, buy in the best possible way what suits you best. This is why I made this video, and this is why I'm recording other videos as well. To make the transparency, to inform the client how the things work over here. So saying that a broker works always with agregadores, and agregadores are basically listers. They go to a property, they talk with the clients, the vendors, and then they list the property to get the documentation of the property, and then it's going to be put on the internet, on their website, on a broker website, on a real estate website, and then they're going to put it in the marketing portals. That's basically the way it works, simply explained. It's not as simple as that, but this is basically simple. And because they're always on the time pressure, they don't have always the time to speak with the clients, to understand the vendors, and as well they don't have the knowledge of the valuation of a property. And that is what I said already. It's the biggest difficulty here. The vendors, they rely most of the time on the brokers. Of course, there are vendors as well. They have an idea of what their property is worth, but they always take the advice in of the brokers. And I say brokers, in Portugal you can take as many brokers as you want. So that means if you take 10 brokers, for example, on board, they all have their own valuations. And it's not basically the brokers, but it's basically the agregadores, the listers, the property listers. They come to the property and they list the property. And they have not learned how to evaluate a property. A broker as well not. And the biggest question, and of course of everybody, is, but how do I know what a property is worth? How do I know if I don't overbid, if I don't overpay? That is the biggest problem. And what I always consider, the people who are working a long time in the market, they work maybe over 10 years in the real estate market. They basically have a knowledge of the market because they have sold properties in different areas. They have always also maybe resale a property again. Sometimes I've resold a property 3 times. And then you have a better knowledge of the values of the properties, of course. You have the square meters, each area have a certain value of the square meters. As well, the luxury aspect. Does a property have sea view? Does a property have golf view? Is it first line? Is it second line? Is it an A location? Is it a B location? So all these aspects you must take in place. And then, of course, what you have to see to understand the area where the property is in. Will this property have no more construction around? What are the developments maybe coming into the future? Here, for example, I have a village where I live myself. It's Verigudo, and there is new development coming on. There's a third golf place they are constructing, so that means that drives the prices as well up in this area. And I have seen in the last 8 years the prices here have been tripled. I have real estate myself, so the prices just have been tripled. And even it will go up more if the property, of course, is in a good location. And so as you can see, it's not so simple as that to evaluate a property. There's a lot of aspects what's coming to place to define the certain real value of a property. And then, of course, you have the client, maybe who built the vendor, who built the property by himself, put the effort in, maybe got at the time to the legislation, his capital was bound, he had a plot, he could maybe not construct for 1 year. So these things you have to take in consideration as well, because the client, let's face it, we all want to make money with real estate, even if we have bought the property by ourselves. And maybe we never was thinking about selling the property, but there will always come a time for everyone where you want to sell the property and you always want to make a profit with it. And the vendors and then we have the other part, of course, it's the buyers. Buyers are as well frustrated because buyers don't understand really the market. They have maybe, I've always worked on the high-end properties, so let's say from 1 million and upwards. And basically all, of course, they are business people, they have an understanding of the real estate market in their own country, come with the mindset to Portugal, with the mindset maybe from America, from Holland, from Germany, from England, where the brokers work in a different way, where it's more transparent, where you can go to the cadastre, where you can request the selling price, what the property has been sold for. That is not existing in Portugal. It is existing, but it's not so easy accessible, because you have to know where the property has been sold, which notary they have been using, So it's there, it's registered. The properties, of course, they are officially registered. You can look into it, but then, of course, you have to know where the property was sold, in which time frame the properties was sold, and then you can go to the notary, or to the cadastre to check where the property has been sold for. So as you see, it's difficult for a buyer now at the moment. They think sometimes it's inflated market, the prices are too high, they can't find a property anymore, what they are looking for. They have contacted, it's here the biggest portal, Idealista. They have scrolled the internet, and then they have contacted the brokers, and then the properties were already sold, or the price was not correct because meanwhile the seller decided to lower the price or to raise the price. And then you see the same property with different kind of real estates with different prices. Worst case, sometimes different descriptions, so the buyers get confused. And that's what I saw already. I saw it a few years ago. And the biggest point for me why I changed my business concept, the way I work with clients, it is because I felt myself not comfortable anymore. I had the feeling I could not give an independent advice to the client, because I was always paid by the vendor. And even it was, I worked for the buyer, I was the real estate for the buyer, I got paid by the real estate from the vendor, because then we share the commissions, we have collaboration contracts. So I never felt good with it. You try, of course, the ethic way, to work in the best way, but how can you negotiate for a client in the best way if you're not an independent, if you can get paid by the vendor? So to give a clarification of what I am doing now, I work really as an advisor, a trusted strategic advisor. Sometimes the clients have found the properties already by themselves, and then they ask me to give a real value on the property, what they think it's worth, maybe do the negotiations for them with the real estate, or maybe to check the documents. They can work with me on an hourly basis, because there's so many questions, before you make a defined decision on the property which you want to buy. And or you want to work with me on a one-on-one base, so then I'm really your business partner, meaning that I act on as your right hand in Portugal. I check the facts, I check the documents, I checked as well the promissory contracts. I'm not a lawyer, I work with very professional law firms. But as well with law firms, they have their standard contracts, maybe something you want to have a clause extra in the promissory contract, because the promissory contract, that's the most important contract when you're buying a property. Of course, your property is not in your name, but in the promissory contract, there's already a lot of clauses, a lot of obligations, what you need as a buyer to fulfill and as a seller to fulfill. And basically, if a buyer, if you don't, to buy the property, you lose your down payment. For whatever reason, you can't fulfill the contract. And if the vendor can't fulfill the contract for whatever reason within the time frame, then they have to pay double the down payment of the buyer. So this is very important, the promissory contract. Everything what happens before the promissory contract, even if you make a reservation on the property, even if you make an offer on the property, these are legally all not binding. To make an offer, it's not binding. And that's completely different than to other countries. Even if you make a written offer, it's not a binding offer. Let's say it's like a gentleman agreement. And there is, of course, people who holds themselves on the gentleman agreement, but more than often I have faced with the frustrated buyers, because they had agreed already on a price and made an offer. They are waiting now for the promissory contract to be signed, and then all of a sudden the property was gone, because the real estate or the vendor, whatever who decided, the property sold to another higher bidder or with better conditions. And that is the reality of nowadays market, especially on the A locations, because There are so many A locations, properties can be built, cliff top locations, first line golf locations. And that is very frustrated. I have had it myself a few times that I assisted the client. We made an offer, and then all of a sudden the buyer, he got the offer from my client, and then he jumped off, and he didn't accept it. Even if there was a reservation contract, they just repaid the reservation fee of the contract, and legally there's not much what you can do. So that is what I'm doing now. I identify the right property for you. I save you the frustration and the time, because this is going to a lot of effort to find the right property, even to find the right property what suits your budget. And that's what I wanted to tell with the Facebook page, what I made this week. There's so much things to say more about it. And it's not an attack to the brokerage firms. I work with brokers. I work with very professional brokers. That's not the issue of the point of the whole, the Facebook page. What I make post, it's about the transparency, the difficulty what buyers are facing at the moment, that they can't buy, that they have the feeling that they can't buy for the right price, the properties that the price are inflated. It's just a matter to find the vendor, to make the right negotiation, because the Portuguese market is about negotiations, and a lot of time they're willing to negotiate maybe 10, 20, 30% to negotiate on the price, and you as a buyer don't see that, and the vendor can't sell his property because you never come to the vendor the property. And I have a lot of cases where vendors contacted me the last month that they have beautiful properties which they are willing to negotiate. Of course, you would think, why don't they lower the price and set the price for what they really want? Most of the time the vendors have been advised through friends, brokers, whatever, that their property is worth much more. So they want to take the lucky shot to see if the buyer is out there. I think it's not always working like that. You have to set as well for yourself as a vendor what you think the right price is for your property, and not such a high negotiation margin. So that makes the gap between finding the right buyer for the property and that you really can sell your property. I hope this video is of use of you. Of course, I've been talking a lot. If some things are not clear, send me a WhatsApp, send me DM, contact me. And if you want to work with me, or maybe on an hourly fee, maybe on a one-on-one strategic basis, that I'm your right business partner in Portugal, I'm happy to assist you. You can contact me. I'm on all the social media, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, I think even on TikTok. I'm going to make more podcasts about the subject, because I see the frustration in the market is getting higher. Portugal is a beautiful country to live in. Don't give up. You're getting there to buy the right property. And as well for the vendors, you will find to get the right buyer for your property. And I think it's all about working together. Buyers, vendors, brokers, me as a strategic advisor. If we think about it, we all connect and we work in the best possible way, then we all can make a good deal, and we all can be very happy. Thank you.